So obviously we need to have more. I want to push you and Pisco.
Yeah.
Because Pisco over here has been a little questioner. Okay. He's not answering a question. I'm curious. Like, what do you think? What needs to change? What needs to be better? How do you compete with a guy? Okay. Like, we're going to have a debate, and I'm going to come out, and I'm going to say, well, actually, in case you guys didn't know, Brian is actually fucking Satan. And half the audience believes it. How do you win a debate with a guy like that? What are you doing? Like, what do you do? And it doesn't have to be personal. I just mean like in general, like the policy conversation, the U.S. Like, what do you do? How do you? What kind of media presence do we even be pushing for? Yeah.
I think you need candidates. Go ahead, Brian.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it's everything. I think it starts with having candidates with some real identity beyond anti-Trumpism, because anti-Trumpism by itself did not work. The people had access to all the fucked up shit that Trump did, and it wasn't enough.
Didn't Trump want an anti-wokeism though? What is he running on?
He's running on a vision that like he at least can sell in a paragraph.
Concepts of a vision?
Yeah, well, I think that's true. I mean, we tried it before. When you ask someone like, what does Trump represent? There are real things in your mind that are envisioned. When you ask, what does the Democratic Party represent? I mean, fuck if I know. Fuck if I know exactly, like, if any kind of generic Democrat, what is their identity? So I think that the candidate quality needs to change. You need to have people who can talk. Yeah. People who can actually talk and sound like real people. And I think that there are a lot of commentators in the, I don't know, liberal, left, socialist, whatever you want to call it, space, that can talk like real people. But for whatever reason, we have some robots that we're running and who can't relate to the American people. They can't describe the positive things that they're doing and why it's affecting their lives and the.
But then you run this huge risk of people just calling you out of touch. Like, I feel like that's what happens with Democrats, because I've made these impassioned pleas to people where I'm like, bro, like, they were able to, Biden did forgive some student loan stuff to people, or we have expanded access to things like health.
But you're not in charge.
Sure, but I mean, if they say it too, then it's just immediately like, oh, these guys are out of touch. Hillary tried that with the America's already great. Bullshit, this country fucking sucks. And how does Trump, here's something that makes me mad, okay? There are legitimate citizens in countries that try to flee these countries, okay, because they're so fucked. In the United States, people will come to this country illegally for the opportunity to work here, to work here. They'll flee to this country illegally. They'll come to this country illegally to work here. But people say, why do illegal immigrants come here? To leech off of our amazing welfare state? Like they don't live in reality at all. How do you contend with that? Sorry, I'm repeating myself. Go ahead.
I don't know, Brian, what do you think? I think it's both. I think that the Democratic Party is run by some stooges, and they aren't able to relate their messaging, and the media is kind of following along in a way. If they don't have candidates that they're excited about, and if people who have excitement aren't being led into the right doors and aren't in the right meetings, how can there be synergy?
I really do think I really do think the media is a huge part. I think the media is so much bigger of a part of this than any other. I think our policies are correct. Like, I think the vast majority of Democratic policies looking to combat climate change, looking to expand healthcare, looking to bolster unions. We have the PRO Act, looking to continue pushing forward gun safety reforms. Like, whatever it is, the policies are correct, and the policies are popular. And that's, by the way, why we keep winning ballot initiatives. So people are voting
in
for
Missouri
positions, but they're not voting for Democratic politicians. And I think there's a few things. One, we have to run people. I think people who need to run who actually have personality and like charisma. I think that's a big part of it. And like, will we miss out on some of the best legislators in the world? Yeah. Is it going to matter if we don't get in power or those people don't get elected? No. Like that's the reality of it. Who was it? Was it Patrick Leahy? From Vermont, who retired because he was like 110 years old, right?
Yeah.
And he was replaced by
a 72-year-old geriatric. Yeah.
Who was that? Was it Feinstein that like died in Congress? Yeah. I'm sorry, that's mean, but
died in office. Like, but Leahy, I think, was like 90, and then they replaced him with Peter Welch, was like the young buck who took his spot in the Senate.
And he's as old as Biden.
Let me see.
He must be 72, I think. 72, 73.
No, it's definitely an issue. We got a lot of old fucking Democrats. That is true.
I mean, think about the most popular ones too, like Bernie.
Sure. Yeah, that's true though, because a lot of people that say we need to replace some younger people, a lot of those younger people would be like, I'd vote for Bernie in a heartbeat. I don't know how many would actually vote for him, but yeah.
No, for sure. I mean, it's a matter. It's not really a matter of age so much as it is like a matter of like of being able to communicate with people. Like Bernie's fine. He's clearly able to do that even now, and his message has been. He is probably the most consistent messenger in the entire Democratic Party. His message has never strayed. But like, we only have a few positions where like we only have at this point 48, 47, 46 senators in the U.S. Senate, and to squander one of those seats on somebody who was like, yes, next in line because he was a congressman and now he's going to be a senator, but like
who cares?
Another septuagenarian, it just seems so wild that in these rare opportunities where we have people who are in positions where they can actually have an audience and have the ability to talk to people, we keep using it for not just people who are too old, but certainly people who are too old, but people who aren't able to connect with regular people. And so whereas Republicans have Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley and like these people who do resonate as reprehensible as I think they are, who do resonate with their audiences, we have Peter Welch who doesn't, who nobody would be able to recognize if he was sitting on their laps.
I think that's a fantastic point. Every one of these, conservatives that you mentioned, they're superstars. They're like movie stars. Ted Cruz, Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene. They're people that like everyone's excited to see them when they come. Like all these MAGA supporters, when they walk in the room, they light up the room. No one really is excited. Like, would you be excited to see Chuck Schumer as someone would be to see like?
Okay, but hold on. I need to take a quick pause to say, to fuck the electorate, okay? Because these are the people you voted for, not you, me too, right? Because people will say things like, and this is why I'm also not sure if I believe it sometimes, because people will say things like, why do we have fucking Biden? Well, what do you mean? Look at all the other options you had to choose from, and you didn't pick any of them, right? Why? I don't know if the superdelegates were the reason why Biden managed to beat, Kamala, Pete, the 20 other fucking people on that stage, right? Like the electorate chooses you. Same thing, you look at like people like Nancy Pelosi, right? What is it? Congress has like a 9% approval rating, but your own representative has like an 80% approval rating. Like they keep choosing them over and over again. So like arguably the only way that the Republicans were able to change so much to some extent was because of like an abandonment of, we don't really have like the Republican Party anymore, right? We have got like Trump's party. Like it is Donald Trump's party. There is no party without Donald Trump, right? Whereas for the Democratic side, Biden got pushed out. That's fine. There's no leader of the Democratic Party right now. I don't know if
Listen, I don't think you have to accept all of people like Hassan's worldview to say that maybe they had a semblance of the point when we nominate. I think Biden did a great job, but when you nominate someone like Biden, you're playing scared. You're constantly playing on defense, and I constantly feel in all these races.
Play on defense for you. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I love you. You keep hold on. You keep saying this, and people keep saying this. When you're nominating Biden, you're playing scared. Trump literally lost to Biden, and they renominated him. He's got the entire party held hostage. No, and we're the ones that are scared.
It goes to voters. But it also goes to the media infrastructure.
Okay.
And I think that Democrats are always scared and anxious. And even felt it yesterday. I mean, obviously
but we're scared because we're playing in the same world. Republicans aren't scared because they know they're going to win, or it was rigged. Like, what a great worldview to have. He was already calling it rigged when Philadelphia was just being reported. What the fuck? Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that I was going to say the same thing. Yeah. I'm in complete agreement. Like I think Democrats are scared because like we know the stakes, and also there's nothing for Republicans to be afraid of. Like what Biden comes into office. The reality is that the last three Democratic presidents that have come in have all cleaned up recessions from Republicans. What do they have to be afraid of?
True.
There's nothing for a Republican to be afraid of. What, a Democrat comes into office and we add jobs and we fix the economy? So of course they're not afraid. Worst case scenario, we just have better economic conditions than when we started.
Absolutely true.
Democrats are scared because if Republicans take power, then we have assholes like fucking John Eastman and Rick Grinnell and all these guys that are going to be in power, promising to kick every career civil servant out of government and replace them with political appointees.
This is why
there's a huge disparity here.
This is why when things like the immunity ruling happen, they piss me off so much, because realistically, Republicans aren't worried about criminal immunity because what the fuck is a Democrat gonna fucking do with it? Drive with a suspended license and not be held accountable? What? Literally nothing is going to happen. But we're, on the other hand, right?
We have Biden in office right now who is able to wield whatever immunity ruling the Supreme Court handed down. They said anything that falls under the umbrella of an official act.
Sorry. These guys don't like that, by the way, and they called me stupid when I said it. But now they're all starstruck. They're like, whoa, hey, wait a second. This is a great idea. You know what you are? You're just a sexier version of me. Now they're on the fucking train. That's it.
Look, I'm not saying that Joe Biden should like commit crimes. I'm just saying we Democrats know that we are so unwilling to use the levers of power that we have at our disposal, that it's almost like it's laughable. The prospect of Joe Biden actually doing anything that the Supreme Court has just given him carte blanche to do. We took control of government. Merrick Garland was so afraid of the optics of a politicized DOJ that he didn't lift a finger against Donald Trump for inciting a fucking insurrection for like 2 years before he finally deigned to appoint Jack Smith as a special counsel. And so Trump was able to prop up an entire presidential campaign and get it running before we even appointed Jack Smith to get moving on him inciting an insurrection against the U.S. government. That's how scared Democrats are to wield power when they have it.
Crazy how that didn't happen.
Also,
I wish he would have shown half as much hustle as he did appointing her to do his little report on Biden as he did with Donald Trump, bullying his employees around to hide boxes of classified fucking material that he was showing fucking reporters. Okay? Christ.
I don't want to retread that ground because I think that there's a discussion to be had. I don't put the blame on Merrick Garland there, and I think that there are problems in advocating. What I think I'm hearing is Democrats should use the Department of Justice for
like it's supposed to. We had a big fight over this last night. You're good. Go ahead.
Having Merrick Garland take action against Donald Trump for his avowed crimes is not weaponizing the government. In fact, him not taking action against Donald Trump for his crimes, that is the weaponization of government, because that's saying that that's politicizing the DOJ.
But action was taken, Brian. Action was taken, but what I'm hearing is it didn't happen fast enough, is what I'm hearing.
Right, and what did that do? That emboldened all of these people to either continue committing crimes or basically prop up an entire campaign that would ultimately result in a winning presidential bid for Donald Trump. I mean, the American people didn't even have a chance to see him make his case in court, because here we are 4 years later, and for something he did in January of 2021, we still haven't seen accountability for it.
And now we're gonna have all these people walking free? Do you think he's going to pardon just the seditious conspiracy guys? Do you think he's going to pardon everyone?
Everyone's out. Everyone's out with a vengeance, and they're already asking, by the way, like the insurrectionists who are in court right now. I believe like this morning are already asking for these cases to be stayed pending whatever Donald Trump is going to do and his promises to pardon them.
Listen, I hear you guys 100%. You guys are thinking that this would have made a difference, the extra 2 years, and it would have made Trump an unsuccessful presidential candidate. What's your evidence for that? I mean, the American people have had access to this information ever since it happened. And
there's a difference in terms of what breaks through. It is so, look, when you're political freaks like us, when we watch everything happening on a daily basis, and like folks that are highly informed, that's one thing. But the vast majority of Americans aren't paying attention, and if that means it would take an actual trial or sentencing for them to finally pay attention. Did you see the number of? There was some tweet somewhere where the search terms for did Joe Biden drop out?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yesterday. People don't pay attention to this stuff, and it takes a lot to have something like this break through. And we deprived ourselves of the ability for him to actually be held accountable and for Americans to actually be made aware of what he did. And instead, he just pretty much got away scot-free because
and it sucks. It sucks at like that one. It sucks at the one thing that we did see was bad and it got downplayed, the New York case, but it was definitely the weakest of the four. And
it sucks because like. It should have gone to trial because that's what is supposed to happen. Mm-hmm. But I wish that wasn't the one that went to trial.
Yes.
Because that went to trial first because it just gave them another talking point. And like, there's a difference. Like, you have to weigh like, should it have gone to trial because it should have gone to trial? Yes. In a vacuum, sure. But like from a narrative perspective,
that is true. But I would
this narrative of like weaponization.
I would like to though bring us back to reality, because you better fucking believe that if Joe Biden had abandoned his wife, who had just had a child 4 months earlier, to fuck a porn star, and then taken money and misappropriated or reported it falsely using a fucking lawyer to buy and kill that story, you better believe that would have been talked about for months by conservatives. So even though it might not have played well on our side, again, I do agree that it would have been nicer to see that documents case go to court. That documents case is crazy.
It's a
Because a
slam
lot of people
dunk.
don't even
Well, it
know.
was,
Yeah, people don't even know. Like, fuck the document shit. Like, the main charges that are related to obstruction. Him telling to move around all that shit in Mar-a-Lago and him picking and choosing the boxes that he wanted to take with him when he was going back. Like,
You're
that's
preaching to the
insane.
converted.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a slam dunk case. It was obvious. That he was
Crazy
guilty,
case, yeah.
And it is a travesty of justice that will never see the light of day in a courtroom. I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
But the American people, I'm sorry, they elected him anyway.